collections, classics, customs, restorations. This is Crossroads Speed Shop.
Hey, welcome back to the Crossroad Diecast Speed Shop. This is Skip, and on our turntable today we have a Hot Wheels 63 Chevy 2. The first gen Chevy 2 was produced from 1962 to 1967, with Nova being one of its trim packages. As I understand it, though, with the 1968 second edition, it was shortened to Nova, and the Chevy 2, aka Nova, was produced in 5 generations, from 62 to 79, and then again in 85 to 89. After the 79 version was produced, though, it was no longer even close to the muscle car that we probably come to know and love. In the 1980, it was replaced by the Chevy Citation, and then in the 85-89 version that came to be known as the Nova was actually a subcompact. It was either a 4-door notchback or a 5-door hatchback. Anyways, this is a 63 Chevy 2. It came out as part of the Muscle Mania collection back in 2016. As you can see, it's pretty play worn, and it's just itching for it to be a custom. So let's get the car into the shop and bring it some new life. Okay, well, we have our little Chevy 2 in the shop here. I've already drilled out the post, and just pull the car apart. Let's take a look at it. Just pop it apart. Again, just a simple 4 pieces. The body. As we do an inspection, this is kind of the same thing you do with, like, if you ever watch any of the restoration shows on TV with real cars and stuff. Take it apart, look at everything, what everything's look to inspect it. Just basically looks like it just needs a wash, and we'll take and give it a dip in the Pledge Revive. Same thing, just hot soap and water for the base. Looks like this kid whoever owned this before, must have had it in the dirt and played with it. But we'll take and clean it up and see what we got with that. I've already drilled out the post for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I get things ready for the 256 screws. They're 1/8. And what I usually do is I usually take a little bit of oil. I have this oil right here. And I usually just dip the tip of the tap in there, just enough to do it. And again, just what you do is you just put it into the hole that you've already drilled and begin to just slowly run the threads through it, and it'll keep going. I still like to use the tap a little bit, only because the screws are self-tapping for sure, but I like to use the tap. Okay. And as you can see, it's just a small little 1/8 screw. Maybe give it a counterclock just to get the thing to seat in there. And then using button head. And there you have it. Let's move on. Okay, we're back. What I've done so far is I've selected some tires that'll go on to the Nova. These are a lot better. They're a little bit more contemporary looking, but they still have a muscle car feel on it. And again, it's always good to keep test fitting everything when you're doing these, because make sure that they're rollers and stuff. Because you're going to find sometimes that your wheels are probably too big and you need to make some adjustments. And it's always better to make adjustments before you get the car in the stripper and you start putting it in the paint, because once you start getting the paint out, you don't want to take and ruin your paint job. So anyways, I'll pull this apart. As you pull it apart, again, when you test fit it, I usually leave the interior in there. I put the interior on because you want to make sure that those wheels aren't rubbing. Now, I've already test fitted the front, and I've got them so that the axles are pretty much where I want them to be. But so you can see the one on the back here is really too long. So I'm going to pop them out. And then what we're going to do is hold it like this, hold the axle as far as it can be, and then see. And that way you get an idea of where the where you should trim it. And so you cut it right there. And then I just use some of these cutters to cut the end of it off, and like that. And then I take these fence pliers and like so. And you usually have to bear down pretty hard on it because you want it to get nice and flat. You want the end to get really flat. Because see what happened there is it just slid right off because it didn't get flat enough on there. So you need to push it back in, and again take it one more time. And whoops, sorry. There you go. See, now you got it so the tires will go, and they'll go in the back. Just snap them down in there, and we have a roller. Let's move on. Okay, we're back, and we have our windshield unit all cleaned up now. Got all that dirt, if you remember how that was before. Out there. And now we're going to dip it into Pledge Revive. And you can use this a lot of different things, this gauzy and stuff, but I like the Pledge Revive. It's been pretty good, and it's not quite as expensive as the gauzy, and so I use that quite often. And then what you want to do though, after you dipped it in the Pledge Revive, is you kind of want to wick away some of the liquid as it drains in the edges. Looks pretty good. So I put it in here, and because it stays sticky for a while, it's always good to put something over the top of it, cover it so no dust gets in it. Because the last thing you want is to have dust particles in your windshield. Well, let's move on. Okay, well, I've got my base, my chassis out of the citrus strip. This is on my 63 Chevy 2. I got it all taped up. I'm going to take and chrome the front and the front and the rear bumpers. And I'm also going to, what I like to do is I like to take one of these Scotch-Brite wheels with my Dremel, and I like to just touch up the casting after, even though I got it all clean and everything. Just kind of smooths it out and makes it look nicer, and gives something for the Tamiya Fine Surface Primer to adhere to. So that kind of shows you a little bit about what that looks like. I'm going to take and move on, and I'll finish it up off camera. All right, here we have all the parts to our little Chevy Nova 2, and got the interior painted nice tan color. Part of the reason I chose that was because of the colors I selected for the outside. We cleaned up the windshield and gave it a dip in the Pledge Revive. The base, we took and chromed the bumpers and stripped it all down. Put on some nice Rail Rider style wheels onto it. The body itself, originally I had planned to use a combination of Color 2 Candy 2.0 paints from Createx for that. But when I did it, of course, I had a problem with the clear coat. There wasn't a problem with the clear coat, but the problem was I got some type of fibers blew in and got stuck in the clear coat, and I tried to take it out, and all it ended up doing was, even when I tried sanding it, doing a wet sand and trying to clean it up, it ended up sanding some of the paint off, and so I just decided I'm going to strip it all over again. And then I came across this picture of a Chevy 2 Nova
and it's a gasser. Actually, it just sold. It was out in Oregon, and it sold. But I like the paint style, so I painted it with the tangerine pearl from Createx, and also the opaque white, and then I gave it a good couple coats of 2K clear from Diecast Graveyard. So let's get this thing put together. And here we have our Hot Wheels Chevy 2 Nova. If you remember, this car was pretty beat up, and it really needed a custom job on it. So we stripped it all down and repainted. Originally, I was going to paint it with a tequila yellow and overcoat that with a grabber orange Candy 2.0 from Createx. But when I put the clear coat on, I got some fibers caught in it, and I just wasn't able to wet sand it and get it cleaned down good enough. And I kind of wore out some of the paint. And so as a result of that, I decided to strip it all down, start it all over. But and then as I was looking at some pictures of Chevy 2s on the internet, I came across this one. This one actually was a gasser that sold recently out in Oregon. But I really liked the paint scheme. That's what I'm going to do. So I decided I went with the opaque white and then the tangerine pearl from Createx. And then I coated it with 2 coats of Diecast Graveyard's 2K clear. I detailed the lights. The base, I stripped all the chrome off the base and then re-chromed the front grille and bumper and the rear grille. And I detailed the headlights and the taillights. I added those nice I don't know what kind of wheels they are exactly, but they're rubber wheel rider style wheels that are on there that I found on the internet. Really like that. I really like this car. This car brings back some memories for me in the sense that years ago when my dad had a Chevelle, whenever he had to get it repaired, he would drop it off at the salesman's house, and the salesman always gave him a Chevy 2 Nova from 1963 to use as a loaner car. And I remember riding in that car and stuff, and it was a nice little car that we got to ride in when my dad didn't have his Chevelle. So it brings back some memories. You know, that's the kind of nice thing I like about this hobby is we collect or we customize or whatever, because a lot of times it just brings back the memories of days gone by or things that you did as a kid or toys you played with. And it's a lot of fun, you know, and I hope, you know, watching these videos helps you a little bit in your in customizing and maybe just takes you down memory lane, if nothing else. Again, God bless and thanks for stopping by the shop.